What happened?
So let me tell you, Ghana has a very special place in my heart. However, I think I wasn't necessarily prepared for, I wasn't prepared for the infrastructure of Ghana. I wasn't prepared for the mindset of a lot of the locals there. I wasn't prepared for how the government operated. And so once we were there, you know, month passed, 2 months passed, 3 months passed, I said, wait, well, okay, hold on now. And you know how we had to go about doing different things. I think it just was a reality check. And you know, nobody can prepare you for repatriation. People can give you all of this information until you are in the thick of things. You have to experience it for yourself. And so it just didn't work for us at the time. It really didn't. It didn't work for us. We weren't comfortable. Made great relationships, but it just wasn't the place we wanted to stay. So we decided we had saved a good chunk of change, and so we said, look, we're gonna pick, you know, a few countries that we want to travel to, and we're gonna go check them out and see how this works out for us. Which country do we think we can call home and be comfortable? And so we set out on an Africa trek.
Right. Hold on 1 second.
So, yeah, so we decided to travel to the countries that we had put on our list. We were going to stay there no less than 30 days a piece. We were going to look into what residency looked like there, you know, all the immigration requirements. What were the requirements to establish a business as a foreigner? Like, we really did some real homework on those countries. And we set out on that journey, and it was wild.
No. So can you take us briefly down the road? You left Ghana and you decided to go where? Where did you go now?
So after Ghana, we did a little stop in Togo. And that wasn't necessarily somewhere we wanted to stay, but we happened to have a friend who had a friend there. So it was kind of on our way to Cote d'Ivoire. So Ivory Coast was our next major stop. Now, once we got to Ivory Coast, we realized the language barrier was going to be somewhat tough to work around. And to be honest with you, we didn't really like how, this might rub some people the wrong way, but we didn't really like how Cote d'Ivoire was very European. Cote d'Ivoire, when we got there, we knew that it was heavily French influenced, but we didn't realize how much. So it felt.
You wasn't feeling that.
No, because it felt like what we had just left, only that, you know, everybody was speaking French. So we stayed there again, made great connections. But from there, we left there and we headed to Senegal. Now, Senegal was great. Senegal is beautiful. However, Senegal is also very Muslim. So there was, okay. Look, and this is the things you got to take into consideration, right? Yeah. Language barriers, religion, all of those things, and you're not going to know until you get there. Exactly. So that was, and we were in Dakar, and so even though Dakar is being built up, or at that time it was being built up, it had this still like old world feel to it too. Yeah. So that was another thing, and again, heavily French influence, right? So they're either speaking whatever their mother tongue is, or French, mostly French. Mm-hmm. So that it was hard to kind of maneuver around there as well. So that wasn't gonna work. Left there, we went to Cape Verde. Oh God. Okay, so again, y'all, language, even though you're like, they're speaking whatever their language is that they're speaking, maybe a form of Creole or Portuguese, whatever colonizer language was left behind. In my mind, I'm thinking, but somebody got to know English, right? Or English has to be one of the main languages. That's not necessarily true. So that made it very difficult, especially when it came to doing business or trying to do business. Did not work, y'all. So Cape Verde, Morocco. Well, Morocco was kind of one of those, like, we could do Morocco. However, being in Morocco is like you ain't even in Africa no more sometimes. Northern Africa on a whole nother tip. Absolutely beautiful. People treated us like royalty, but very Arabic influence, Middle Eastern, like it feels like you have left the continent.
Yeah, so you felt more, it felt more like you was in the Middle East.
Yes.
But Northern Africa?
Northern Africa, you know.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that I can say that bothered me a lot about being in Morocco. So there were a lot of continental Africans in Morocco from mostly Western African countries. So a lot of Senegalese, a lot of Gambians, and a lot of them are up there for work. Being in the same space, I did not like the way we were treated in comparison to them. The natives or the locals treated continental Africans from other African countries like trash.
Wow.
And although we are all Black at the end of the day, right, in their eyes, we're Black American. Really, we were just American.
Yeah.
So being American and having that blue passport, all of a sudden we had privilege that we had never had before.
Yep.
So it actually made us kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like to be sitting at a table with some guys from Senegal and they come straight up to us, ask us what they want, look at them and just walk off. And I'm like, hold on, but yeah, like stuff like that. And it would be little things, but they made it very, very clear we don't deal with them.
Yeah.
So that was uncomfortable.
That wasn't gonna work.
That was gonna work. Then we took it over. West Africa, we was like, we love y'all. Okay, we gonna try East Africa. I'm just saying. So we went to Egypt. Egypt, I think, was more so not necessarily somewhere we were like, we could stay here, but it was somewhere we needed to go. We wanted to go and experience. I can actually say Egypt is a place that is doable. However, also heavily Middle Eastern-ish feel. But when we met the Egyptians that were from southern Egypt, so Aswan, or what most people know as Nubia, it was a totally different experience. They was like, y'all are the original people.
Yeah.
And that was the first time where I can say that I actually felt like,
okay.
Because East Africa was never like really on my radar. You know, when most Black Americans, African Americans think about Africa as a home, they usually think South Africa and Western African countries.
Yeah.
We rarely choose or Kenya.
Right. Kenya.
So you don't really think about that, but hearing, you know, a lot of them talk about like, hey, you know, think about southern Egypt or Sudan or places like that was not on my radar. I'm like, man, this okay. So there was that. However, they had a lot of conflict going on, so that was another thing.
Yeah.
You don't think about civil unrest. You gotta think about these things. So left Egypt, went to Ethiopia. Now, I can actually say Ethiopia is somewhere I think I could probably live. I felt extremely comfortable. There was a sense of ease. What I loved about Ethiopia is I didn't feel a presence of any other culture besides Ethiopia.
Yeah.
There was you couldn't find a trace of nobody. And I was like, man, this is so dope. The fact that they have even been able to hold on to that for so long just made me feel really comfortable. However, Ethiopians really don't fool with nobody else but Ethiopians.
Okay.
That's how they've been able to, in my opinion, kind of
keep it tight.
Yeah, very particular about who comes and sets up businesses. You know, you can't adopt children from there no more. Like they listen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
As they should be. I respect that. So Ethiopia was definitely beautiful. Ethiopia is still on my radar. And after Ethiopia, we went down to Rwanda. Now, Rwanda was the place that we said we could do this long term. I actually have a full-blown business still existing in Rwanda as we speak in Kigali. The ease of everything, down to setting up a business, the amount of women that they have in government, the cleanliness of that country. I'm talking just on point. However, there is this slight undertone of we ain't forgot the genocide.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing, but I'm serious. You feel it. It's heavy.
It's only been 20 years.
Yeah. And for me, as an empath, somebody who feels energy very, very heavy, there's a heaviness in Rwanda like I ain't never felt in my life. Yeah. Probably outside of being on a plantation. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
It feels, to me, it kind of felt like death in the air.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
but it hasn't been so long, so that's not surprising.
It hasn't. And just how they had to implement certain things, like their current president, you know, he's like, listen, you can't say that you're a Hutu or a Tutsi anymore. You're just Rwandese. Yeah. Period. You can't talk about those things. And I mean, for people who are very tribal, to not be able to, you know, vocalize that, I'm sure that that's unsettling.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a little rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. You meet people and they kind of have this sense of like a flat affect. You know, they're looking at you. Hi, how are you? It's
a bit robotic. Like
it's a bit robotic. Yeah. And then
settling.
Yes. And then you meet some of them who were either who fled, you know, to the surrounding countries when they were young, or they were born in the surrounding countries during that time and came home. Totally different personalities. So we met a lot of beautiful people. However, so Kigali for sure is what I like to call Africa's hidden gem. Mm-hmm. But white folks know about it.
Okay.
And now Kigali has become a playground for Europeans. It is one of those places where they can go and live beautifully.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for me. It reminded me actually a lot of South Africa. South Africa, to me, in my opinion, is like the California of Africa.
Yeah, I can see that.
See why Europeans don't want to leave. They're going to go down with a fight because they can live so comfortably. These places are beautiful. They have access to all of this stuff. So, you know, that was a little rough. But so by the time we got to Rwanda, we was like, you know what? We might just not be ready for Africa. Not that Africa's not ready for us. We may just not be ready. And what it takes to really make that transition, mind, body, and spirit, and money, we just weren't quite ready for. But one thing I realize now, that repatriation for me is me getting back to myself.
For more on this video, please click the link in the description below. Thank you.